computer yet.
No.
I call our meeting, we'll expand it.
I do.
And I'm gonna ask our business pastor, Brother Jerry Sharp, to lead us in prayer. I have to say them pledge. I say allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right there, be fine.
Father, we're so grateful for this day, thankful for an opportunity to come together, pray your leading and your guidance. Grateful for everyone's represented here, the families of this great city. Lord, pray that everything that's done will be in accordance with your will and be acceptable to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody here. First thing on our agenda is going to be our roll call.
County Daily Board of Alderman roll call for the regular meeting of the mayor and the alderman, the year July 11, 2023. Alderman Beck. Alderman Guinea. Alderman Gardner. Alderman Crowe.
Here.
Alderman Smith. Any other regular formal board present?
Okay, thank you very much. Next thing we have, first thing we have is approval of minutes from our previous meeting. Have those in front of you. Are there any additions or deletions or questions? I'll entertain a motion.
You would love to say that?
Pardon?
You would love to say that?
If it's okay with you, council, we'll approve both at the same time. Motion made by Alderman Smith, I hear a second by Alderman Betts. All in favor, say aye. Now, at this time, we've got, where we usually show we have public comments on any of our current agenda items. If anybody, public, have a comment on any of our agenda items before we get into the meeting? If not, we'll move on. First thing on our agenda is our presentation of financial statements for May 2023 by our CPA and municipal county, Ms. Deborah Moore.
Tonight's financial statements include the balance sheet as of May 31st, 2023, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the 11 months ending 5/30/2023, a summary budget to actual comparison by fund, and a detailed budget to actual comparison by department. These financial statements have been distributed to all departments and all of them for their review. In summary, the county has combined cash in the bank of $7.7 million, including restricted funds of $4.2 million in the hydro fund and $1.5 million in sales tax fund. Investments are $14.8 million. Hydro reserve fund has $2.4 million. There's $1.6 million in fuel fund. There's $705,000 of ARPA funds in a CD and $5.1 million of hydro funds at Vernon and $5 million of hydro funds at Blvd. Total assets are $52.6 million. Total liabilities are $7.8 million. Fund balance is $44.7 million. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the 11 months ended 5/31/23 indicates combined revenues of $44.9 million. Total expenditures of $43.4 million, for a change in net position of positive $1.5 million. Financial statements include the amended budgets for the general fund and special revenue funds approved at last month's meeting. The general fund revenue is at 60% and will partially catch up next month with the increase in revenue from facility funding for the fiber optic project. The remaining revenue expense for this project will fall over into next year. The change in net position is expected to be higher than expected due to the carryover. The revenue and expenses of special revenue funds are expected to increase the fund balance by $375,000. This appears to be a good indication of what the town may end up at the end of the fiscal year for these funds. Capital outlay is at 70% of budget. Personnel costs are at 92% of budget. Materials and supplies are at 116% of budget, and other services and charges are at 87% of budget, with 1 month to go. The total debt paid off during the year was approximately $10.6 million, plus $543,000 for the payoff of the fire truck. The town has received the $1.4 million of funds. From this amount, we have used $230,000 to offset the citizens' electric costs for 3 months and supplement the employees' retention payments in 2022. The board approved using the ARPA funds for this purpose in fiscal year 2023-24. With having made investments during the year, together with the increase in interest rates, the town has earned $351,000 of interest earnings. Sales tax collections for the year total $4 million, which is an increase of $640,000 from the last year. Occupational licensure on a bad note, though, the town is expected to have a 26% increase in insurance costs in fiscal year 2023.
Yeah, that's Deborah thinks that report, good report, and she's exactly right. We just met with our insurance company. And insurance, now this is our liability, our coverage on all our buildings, vehicle liability, just everything involved. We're 26%. 26%. That's just something that we as a staff are going to try to weather. We do not want to pass on anything to our citizens in relationship to cost. As earlier we talked about, the landfill fees for our collection of garbage and trash went up almost 50%. And again, we're trying to make some moves that will not impact our citizens financially.
Is it still there?
And have to increase any rates. And since, honestly, since we've been in office, we lowered the cost of electricity for our citizens. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but we have not increased any rates, and if we can do everything we can to manage the finances of the town, I'm gonna do my best. We will not have any increases if we can do it. And I've got some things that we're doing. We're being very frugal with the town's monies, and I want to appreciate all our department heads and workers that are doing a good job of managing, the money on a daily basis. Because there's things that come up that aren't expected that we have to take care of. Cornell's going to address some of this in here just a little bit with our water plant, but there's good news on the horizon too that we're going to talk about in one of our project updates. So, anyways, thank you, Deborah. Any questions from the council? Thank you, Deborah. Then we have board discussion vote on approval of sign application for Sunnyside Church. Before we get started, Jerry Sharp led us in our prayer earlier. He and our sheriff, David Hedrick, came and visited with me probably almost a couple months ago. Close to it. And they are in a big renovation project there at their church out in St. Pauls. And they have a big, vibrant, growing church. And they were needing a place to move to temporarily. And just
It's the same setup I had before.
And just have something, we feel like we can accommodate them at the convention center. And we worked out a financial arrangement for that. And they're going to need to sign it, and Sheriff Hedrick has agreed to, they will provide any kind of security that's required, they'll provide the insurances that's required, and they will also provide cleanup and have the prisoners available to do whatever we can, to keep everything going with that. And so, that being said, I'd like to welcome them to Vidalia and hope that, if you'd like to say something here,
I don't need to.
you don't need to?
I mean, whatever I need to do.
Yeah, well, what we have is they're basically making, it's going to be a preliminary, they're going to make a sign for their church.
What's happening? This output's not giving me my signal.
Are you not getting audio?
Showing where they're at on that. Let's see if there's any questions from the, there's pictures in there of what they're wanting to do. And I think it's there's going to be people coming into our town. I'm sure they'll be eating at restaurants and buying gas and doing things around town, and because they do have a very good congregation and a very vibrant congregation, and we welcome you to Vidalia. So is there any questions? There's a couple signs there, I think, if you want to look at them, have any questions on them. Is there any questions? I entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Probst. There a second? Alderman Smith, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Okay, now we have discussion on the setting dates for 2 public hearings to receive public input on proposed projects and possible alternative uses of surplus hydro revenues. Last year we had these meetings, and you know, one of the things that we all agreed on is we needed to get debt free, and we paid off $12 million in debt last year, which is a big step for our town to do. We believe that was the best thing. It's actually, we're earning good money on our investments now, and we're not paying an interest expense on that debt that was out there. It doesn't make sense to have money and have debt and you invest it for a lot cheaper. So that was the thing we did. So now we have these meetings. We're not going to forget those projects that were brought up last year. Matter of fact, those will still be on the list, and we'll start over and go over these again, and then actually come up with a list that the council wants to do and present them to you for this year for y'all to look at and discuss. So I just want to see what y'all's thoughts on a date. If y'all want to do them in August. And I think last year we did them in August sometime.
That'd be fine.
Y'all have a time of day, probably they need to be at what, 6 o'clock, just like,
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
flexible.
is there any time, later part of the month or,
No,
okay.
whenever
We want to have them the same week like we did before, you know, maybe the third week in the month, we could have a Tuesday and Thursday night and get them both done. Is that okay? All right. All right, we'll come up with that. It'll probably be maybe the third week in August, and we'll set that down and try to make that happen. Okay. All right. Thank y'all for that. Now we have board discussion and vote of approval on entering an intergovernmental agreement between the town of Vidalia and town of Vernon Police Department to transfer 5 police units to the town of Vernon Police Department. Now I can go ahead and go through each one of these. Chief Merrill's been talking with each one of the respective chiefs and mayors of the following towns: Vernon, Jonesville, Clayton, Waterproof. And we have a lot of police units. You know, they've really served their purpose here, and we could put them out for bid. But, you know, honestly, if we go into an agreement with these smaller towns that are suffering and don't have the money to put their police in and help those communities, I think this would be a good gesture on our part. You know, God's blessed us, and we really have, and we got a great police force. We're really a safe community. And I think anything we can do to help our sister towns and, you know, help them, you know, maybe get more feet on the ground to help law enforcement in those areas, I think would be a good thing. And it certainly wouldn't hurt us either. So I would like to hear some discussion on that, what your thoughts on it are. And now we have other surplus vehicles that I'm going to recommend that we just go ahead and put out for bid. We got a lot of older trucks and things, you know, that, you know, we might have 1 or 2 we might, you know, look at maybe doing something with, but the rest of these, there's going to be some citizens around it that might could use a little decent deal on a truck that'll get them around. So I'd like to see us maybe, you know, put those up for bid. But anyway, just tonight we're going to deal with the police units. Is any discussion, or would y'all like to maybe approve them all at one time?
Well, I had questions
Okay.
for some of the people in town. They were just wondering why we didn't put them up for bid.
And
Like I said, like I told them, I said, they weren't worth a whole lot. According to the policemen that drove them, they were really not very good vehicles. And they were glad to get out of them. But I mean, you know.
And that's a good question. The thing about it is when you put something like that up for bid, you're going to get $1,000 bid, a $1,500 bid. Whereas going to those communities, how much will that mean to them having a law enforcement person they can put in those communities where they can patrol, whether it's a great car or not? You know, it's a marked unit on the street that might help, you know, with the police enforcement or whatever it might be, whether it's emergency services.
And according to Chief Merrill, most of them had to have work.
Yeah, and see, that's one thing, if y'all
You
notice.
don't worry about getting rid of them like that.
Yeah, well, see,
They got the responsibility of fixing them.
our maintenance bill was really expensive on keeping and maintaining all these units. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone to a lease program through Enterprise, what we did. So, but anyway, no, that's a good question. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think the police units go to police.
Okay.
Just makes a good idea.
And they have the suspensions for, you know, for pursuit and things of that nature. Although I'd be scared to be going 80, 90 miles or some of those. But anyway, it'll help on maybe enforcing, getting tickets or whatever. All right, then, can I hear, can we do them as a block group council? It wouldn't hurt to do that and approve them all. Okay.
I'll make a motion. We do
Okay.
it.
Motion made by Alderman Smith. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Betts. Now, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, none opposed. All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, next thing we have is board discussion and vote of approval to advertise for bids of a new knuckle boom truck for the street and sanitation department. And before I start here, I would like to say we've had 2 good windstorms in Vidalia in the last 2 weeks. And we are down a truck. It's not on its last leg. It's in the coffin. It's fit to be buried. And we need that 3rd bucket truck because we are behind on our trash pickup, limb pickup. A lot of people are calling, but I mean, if you've looked around town, there's been complete trees that's out on the side of the road, but trees that's blown down. We've had to get and keep things going. And there's some of that stuff's been out there 2 weeks, and we understand that. But we do have a truck down, and we're trying to do our best to get caught up. And this will help alleviate that problem. This will give us 3 good trucks, late model trucks, we can get this done. So, Lee, have you got any update on that?
No, I'm hoping that they're gonna have something, relatively quickly. So sometimes it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months. So I'm waiting to hear back from him now, but like the mayor said, 9910, we got that thing in 2007, and it's hauled millions of tons through the landfill. Had almost 300,000 miles to rebuild the engine twice on it, and it is officially dead. Can't use it anymore. I appreciate y'all.
Budget next year to take care of it.
The one you had in the shop is done. It's not coming back.
They brought it back, but they said they just barely got it back.
We pulled the plug on their money.
Okay.
If you drive by there,
You told me, you said when I called you, you said, well, we got one coming in the shop, we'll get back.
It is, and it's not coming back.
It's not coming back.
if you look at it, look, it's got lights hanging out of it. It's in bad shape. It really is. And that will probably just, I don't know, if somebody wants to make a bid on that with it, haul it off or whatever.
So we'll be, until we get the new truck, we'll be with 2 trucks.
We'll have
What
3.
you're saying.
We'll have 3.
I mean, but until how long? So he said it was going to be in the new truck.
About 6
3 to
months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
So we got 6 months with 2 trucks.
I hope it's not gonna be that long.
If we can find one, we'll try to go ahead and get it. But we got to get bids on them first. And those prices are probably going to be up, not quite insurance rates, but I think they're going to be up a little. Saying that with an insurance man on the council.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Best, or here second.
Second.
I think,
Either one.
second by Alderman Probst. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
All right, Lee, let's get busy tomorrow. We'll find one, locate it, or start the bid process. Just a couple more things on here. I wanted to talk a little bit about. We're coming into our summer, our hot summertime, where the topic of discussion and Facebook discussion is our utility bills on their electric rate. Last year, and I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised. Our rate this year that we're, one of the things you have to understand, we have to buy this power. We buy our power from LIPA, and they buy it on the open market. And it's just like a gas station. When fuel prices were going up, those gas stations couldn't help, but they had to charge what you put in your truck. Okay. That's because they had to pay more to get it. Well, last year, for us to buy the power was anywhere from 5.5 cents to 6 cents. And this year it's running around just under 3 cents. So number one, that's going to be cheaper on you. And also, since the council agreed to, which I'm glad they did to, for these next few months, to take those ARPA funds and pay our LIPA number 1 bill, which runs anywhere from $100,000 to $120,000. That's money that's not going out in customers and businesses' bills on a monthly basis. So that's really almost like you're getting a $300,000 credit on everybody's utility bills spread out based on your usage. So now, if anybody's complaining about their utility bill, it's from consumption, not from the price. It's from consumption only, because people are using more electricity to cool their home, and it's taking longer to cool them. And I can't stress enough to our citizens, please service your units. Make sure your filters are changed. Make sure your outside unit isn't stopped up. Make sure, because I have an outside, my compressor out there, after a few yard cuttings, even if it's running, it will suck things up in it. It can't cool. It'll run. Your air conditioner won't turn off because it can't cool the air that's going back through your system to cool your home. So please, we have plenty of good service servicemen around that can come service your units, make sure that they're efficient. I saw where a citizen the other day said they had a $600 electric bill. And I told them, I said, you've got a problem somewhere. There's no way that your electric bill should be $600. It's just not. And I'm just encouraging everybody that will listen to my voice. If you're seeing stuff like that, call us. We'll come look at it, but you're probably going to have an air conditioning man come out and analyze what your problem is. It could be a dead short in something. It could be a number of things, but it's not the cost of the electricity that we're charging. It's the usage or consumption. My consumption in the wintertime on my electric side could be 800 or 900 kilowatts. Right now, it's running 3,600 to 4,000 kilowatts. And that makes my bill more. Not that the town's charging more, but that's because I'm using more. Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to explain that because some people really, really do get animated and upset. But I think right now, today, with the services that we provide, Keith Gray's head of our electric department, they do such a marvelous job. Recently, they were up till 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the mornings on some of these storms going through that they got our power back on. Whatever it takes, those guys do it and get it back on as soon as possible. And I really appreciate what they do. Any questions about that? I mean, anybody, I'd be glad. This would be a good time to ask if anybody's got a question on the electric part of our bills. But there's no rate increase. Matter of fact, the power cost adjustment this month that we're putting in, that's usually adds money to your bill, is in a negative. So you're getting you're not even getting a power cost adjustment. You're getting a credit because of, the council being good enough to approve these ARPA funds to go to all of our citizens and businesses. So I want to thank them, for what they did doing that. So if there's no more questions on that, I'm going to the last thing that we got on our agenda for tonight, which is our update on our projects. And I know people are really tired of all this road work around Concordia Extension, Murray. And if you'll see now, they're at John Dale Drive cleaning out that culvert, and it's a mess. And that's the only thing we've got that drains all this water in town, those culverts. And if you look at them right now, they're almost halfway stopped up. So this is something that needed to be done very bad. And it's still a big undertaking there after working on right now. Okay. The best news I've got is, if you haven't been following, the legislature just got through convening, and the governor went ahead and approved the JB bill. I think it's JB bill 1. I can't remember the number on 2 or 3. It might be 3. But anyway, in that was a $9 million monies capital outlay for us to construct our water plant. So I'd like to thank all of our legislators, our congressmen, for helping us put that together. Brian Hammond and Associates, helping visit with John Bell and getting that in on his budget. That's $9 million the town just got to build a water plant that's going to double our water plant, that's going to make sure our water is sustainable. In the event of freezes in the future, we won't have to worry about going out of, running out of water because it's, all these pipes are bust. So it's really going to be a big, big thing for our town. Not only does that include a new portion that will purify 1 million gallons extra, it will also, once that's built, that'll be shut down, the old one will, and completely refurbed. So we'll almost have new water plants that's producing water. So I think that's a real big plus for our town. And then what we got to start looking at is our, Cornell, how old is all the water lines going through Vidalia? How old are they?
Well, we've got most of them on the north side of town in the 30s.
They 1930. So that shows you how old some of those water lines, and anytime you have pressure on those lines, if you'll notice, sometimes there's discoloration in your water, which we've had recently we've had some major lines leaking, which will cause some discoloration in the house. It's not anything. You can still use the water, drink it if you want to. It's not going to kill you. It's okay. It's okay. It's just got a little coloration to it, but it is okay to drink. But if you do have a problem like that, let us know, because we do want to make sure something, let you know what is going on. Cornell, before I get off the water, go ahead and tell them something else that just happened this week over on the riverfront with one of our water wells that we had.
Wednesday of last week, we had a problem at water well number 3. The discharge line, had broke on it.
we was actually losing water, coming into the water plant because we noticed something going on that morning, and because the day before we was right at 1 million gallons of water supposedly coming through the water plant or whatever, but it actually wasn't reaching it. But it was actually leaking out on the riverfront. So we, got out there Wednesday night or whatever. Well, all day Wednesday or whatever to alleviate the problem. But what it boiled down to is a cast iron line that's when they constructed the water well over there, it was I think 1964. So but anyhow, it was actually 10 foot deep. We got out there and got the wraparound on it and everything and got it secured. But I mean, we were very fortunate.
Tell them what would have happened in high water. If it was high water,
yeah, if it was
you couldn't
high
have fixed
water,
it.
If it was high water, we couldn't do anything. We would have to shut the well down or whatever, and do some extraordinary measures or whatever, try to get water to town or whatever.
And I let him do this because leading up to it's fixing to be another expense. We've met Cornell met. We've even called him Mark Moros, who is real familiar with all that when it's put in. That we think the solution is going to be to move that line further toward the road and run it alongside that road because it may be, because I don't know what the Corps would let you dig even if you had an issue like that. But we feel like we go ahead and replace that line now and
Right.
make sure it's a good line. And what would it be made out of? It wouldn't be like cast iron. It would be made out of.
It would be C900 PVC.
So it'd be C9, which is more flexible and would
Right.
hold up better than that old iron because, this would be time to do it when the river's down if we
Exactly.
can to get that project done. It might be something we need to do sooner than later.
Right, because I mean, the thing is, one of the problems that we found out while we was, trying to get this problem fixed or whatever, those valves that actually isolate, each one of those wells or whatever, they wasn't sealing also. It needs some attention. I mean, this is very important that we do this, while we can. It's very important.
Okay. Any questions from council on that part? Okay.
So y'all fixing to do something with it, right?
Well, we're talking about it now. What would be the best solution?
Right.
We'll be getting with, it's going to have to be engineered
Right,
and
because we're going to have to
everything.
get with the engineer.
And it's
we're
gonna have to
get
be
with the state
permitted,
and
I'm
all
sure.
that. We've got to get with the health.
And since we are digging that close to the river, we're probably going to have permits as
Right,
well.
right.
So, because like I said, if that would have happened with high water, the Corps of Engineers don't allow within 1,500 feet of the
Exactly.
levee any digging at all. So
Mhm.
we'd be in a bind.
Right.
Keith, you had a question?
They won't let you drill or do anything close, less than 40 feet from the total levee. So our power lines are as close as we can get to the levee, but anything going through the Wood River is not considered levee.
Yes.
That's just to let you know that. We can drill nothing when the water's high, 1,500 feet from the levee into the tank.
All right. That's all I had, Courtney. Is that all you had? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. The other thing I had was Concord Extension. They're looking at that. I have Wynn here. Wynn's with Brian Hammond Associates. Wynn, yeah, there he is. You said it's going to be about a week at the Concord Extension there over close to the neighborhood, coming on to it.
Well, at the end of this week, we'll have that open wall for weather permitted, then we've got a little bit of dressing up, grade, and we'll patch that asphalt as well as over on Murray Drive.
Okay.
Once we patch that, final grade, everything, bring it all up. It's gonna be good right now.
So for people that might not heard that, what they're going to do is in about a week, they'll finish off pouring the wing dam and doing the final dress ups. And then they're going to overlay those 3 sections at Murray, those 2 on Concord Extension all at one time and be slicked up. So I'm looking forward to that being done, to be honest with you. So the next thing I have was the overlay is scheduled for the 14th of August. That's going to be peach, myrtle, elm, the old part of elm, and there's one more I think in there, isn't it? Okay, and then we're starting to work on our next set of streets too, and we do have some that need it. So The slough project right now is back and forth. You want this back and forth between the state and us with.
It does, it's kind of, it's in our hands, and I thought Keith probably got here, he said by the end of next week, preliminary plan and specs will be submitted. And that just kicks off the whole process. From there, they have 2 to 4 weeks to review it, although they're aware that it's coming, they're looking forward, so we think it'll be closer to the 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks to review.
Okay.
And then, it goes through another process of advanced plans and specs, where we have 1 or 2 weeks to address their comments. And we have to have a site visit with them, go over any comments from the last set, and then we'll clean everything up, and we have to advertise for 3 weeks and bid it. So all that works chronologically, like I think it will, by the end of October, will be the bidding process.
Okay. For those that didn't hear it, all the stuff they're having to do with the finalized plans and site reviews and all that's going to be into October, maybe, and put out the bid and try to get something going on that. The transmission line is being back and forth with Brooks Harbor and Hammond Associates, and working on that to finish up our substation hookup. And I think that's just about concludes. Anybody got a question on any of the other projects, sir? We did have a phone conversation today on the sewer improvements, which would be the aeration, improves aeration of it, and also the extra lift stations at the Azalea and at the site itself, improving the chlorination that's going in another affluent line going to the Mississippi River. And there's some discussion we have some time. We've been approved for a $4.5 million grant $4.5 million loan / $500,000 that would be forgiven upon completion. But I don't know if that's something we want to do, if we can get more federal money to pay for all of it, which we feel like we should qualify for, because that's basically mitigating some flood and seepage issues that we do have in the town. But other than that, that's what we have for tonight. Any questions? So if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Probst, second by
I did it.
Alderman Betts. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank y'all for coming tonight.